itching to start your garden and wondering when you can put plants in the ground? Many of us in the United States are still very much in winter, but if you started connecting with gardeners on social media, you'll notice some people are starting seeds or even putting seedlings in the ground. What gives? Well, before you jump into throwing seeds to the wind and the snow, let's get a handle on the most important date you'll want to know for your garden, your frost date.
Welcome to Garden Things with Friends, where we share simple garden tips and tricks to help busy beginner gardeners build their dream garden. Be sure to check out the resources below the video as I share all my favorite recommendations, as well as bonus resources to this video. And if you love the episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification icon so you never miss an upload. Now, let's get back to the video.
Hey y'all, and welcome to the third episode of Garden Things with Friends. Today, I want to dive into one of the most important aspects of planning your garden, and that's understanding frost dates. Now, there is some confusion in the gardening community, particularly among beginners, regarding frost dates and garden zones. Frost dates are often mistaken for garden zones, leading to some misunderstandings. On my social media, I frequently share garden tours and tips, and many people inquire about my garden zone, hoping to apply that knowledge to their own gardens. However, these zones have little to do with frost dates and are more about overall climate, soil type, and other important factors. So, what are frost dates and how do they differ from our gardening zones? Now, according to the Old Farmer's Almanac, a frost date is an average date of the last light freeze in spring or the first light freeze in the fall. And freezes are categorized based on how they affect plants, and they're broken into three basic categories. A light freeze is going to be 29 degrees to 30 degrees Fahrenheit, and this is tough on tender plants. They probably won't survive. A moderate freeze is going to be 25 degrees to 28 degrees, and this can cause widespread damage in most vegetation. A severe freeze is going to be anything under 24 degrees Fahrenheit, and this will basically damage anything in the garden. And it's important to keep in mind that these frost dates are estimates and they're based on climate, so they're not set in stone. There's a 30% probability that you can have frost after the spring frost date or before the fall frost date. So there's still chance of frost. This just gives you a date to go by. Now, when it comes to planning your garden, this basically means you can use these dates as a guide, but be conscious of what's going on in the weather in case you need to protect your tender transplants and seedlings. So what's the difference between your frost date and your growing zone? Now, earlier, I mentioned the confusion between the frost dates and our growing zones, and a lot of novice gardeners will mistakenly believe that following a gardener in a similar zone will provide a blueprint for their own garden plans. You might have even come across those Pinterest guides that suggest that you can grow each month based on your growing zone. So let's clarify a few things. So growing zones, officially known as the USDA Plant Hardiness Zone Map, were developed by the USDA to classify the ability of perennial plants to thrive in specific locations. And this map is based on an average annual extreme minimum winter temperature. It provides gardeners with a standard to determine which perennial plants are most likely to flourish in any given area. Now, why is this crucial to distinguish between these two? We'll take my zone, for example. I reside in Zone 7B, and there are others in New York who also reside in Zone 7B. Both of us can be confident that rosemary is perennial in our areas. However, there is a significant difference in our last frost dates. Mine falls at the end of March, so I can plant things like tomatoes and peppers in my garden at that time. A gardener in New York, however, should probably wait until closer to May, even though both of us are Zone 7B. Understanding this distinction between growing zones and frost dates is vital for successful gardening. It ensures that we make informed decisions about when to plant and nurture our beloved seedlings. So how do you find your frost date? Let's take a look. There are a few ways to do this, but my favorite is by using the online tool from the Old Farmer's Almanac. All you have to do is enter your zip code and it will provide you with the average frost dates in your area. This tool is continuously updated with new data, and you can also sign up for email alerts and stay tuned about any changes. I'll go ahead and link that in the show notes below. Another way is to check with your local extension office or ask fellow gardeners in your area. They have first-hand experience with gardening in your specific location and can give you so much valuable insight into the best planting times for your garden. And this last tip is one that I can attest to its validity. Gardening is all about community, and as I grow as a gardener, I'm seeing that more and more. My frost date is at the end of March, but local growers who have been gardening in the area for many more years than I have swear that you shouldn't be putting plants in the ground until Easter. And in my gardening experience, at least, they have been absolutely right. You can join Facebook groups in your area, and that's a great way to not only build community, but gain a wealth of information specific to your area. Now, as we come to the end of this episode, I hope that you now have a better understanding of frost dates and their importance in gardening. By understanding the importance of these dates and how they can guide your planting decisions, you'll be setting yourself up for success in creating a thriving garden. Remember, frost dates are not the same as growing zones, and while both may seem similar at first glance, they offer distinct information that can greatly impact your gardening plans. If you're ready to get planning, you can grab your frost date easily. Just head over to the Old Farmer's Almanac website and find yours. I hope this information has been helpful to you and inspires you to create a beautiful and thriving garden. So why not put your newfound knowledge to the test and share it with others? Consider rating our podcast and spreading the word to your friends who are also passionate about gardening. Your support fuels the growth of Garden Things with Friends, and together we'll cultivate a network of thriving gardens and plant-loving friends. Happy gardening, and remember, it's never the wrong time to grow where you are.
Welcome to Garden Things with Friends,